Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. This is your most inspirational show and the place where the greatest minds in the world converge. Your show is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse Just Be, the Enterprise Group Enterprise Your Advantage, UMB Bank, celebrating 50 years in banking, and Central University, Ghana's premier private Christian university. Our media partners are the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So today we stay in the engine room, that place where we open up the stories of frontliners in various fields and find out the story behind the story, that part that never gets told. The joys, the tears, the broken hearts, the tough moments, those moments where you ask yourself, who brought me here to do what I'm doing? My guest for today is an extension of our conversation last week. Last week we said we're exploring two different shows on how we as a people respond to the vulnerable, celebrating two outstanding women who have given their very lives to touch people that otherwise would have been left unattended. Last week, our guest was Abna Asmeni, telling us about what she did with prisoners and a very beautiful story about how she's working with women and children, juvenile prisoners. Today, we move on to a big sister of mine and somebody I truly respect, along with Comfort, for the great work she's been doing with women over the past 23 years. Dr. Angela Dwamena Aboagye is the Executive Director of the Ark Foundation. She has, over the past 23 years, been at the forefront of providing shelter and a safe haven for victims of abuse, particularly women and their children. Let's find out why a lawyer would walk away from a thriving career with the Attorney General's Department to go on a journey to nowhere, seemingly nowhere, doing what you would ask yourself, why are you going through so much for the benefit of people you often don't even know? Angela, good to see you.
Good to see you, Reverend Albert.
Did I describe you very well?
Well, yeah, close.
What makes you do what you do?
God makes me do what I do.
Tell me about God.
Yes, I mean, so I don't think I discovered it up front. I discovered it on my journey that actually I'm called to this kind of work.
Let's talk about the journey a bit so we can understand the call. So you grew up.
Yes.
You grew up regular?
Regular, lawyer, father, mother housemaker, and a baker also. And last of 8 siblings on my mother's side, let me put it that way. This is African families. Yeah. So by age 14, I think I knew I would be a lawyer. Wow. I don't know. I just felt, okay, well, my father was a lawyer, my big sister was a lawyer, my brother-in-law was a lawyer. I come from a sort of a community and a family that has law written all over. So one would think that it's just like a natural progression. But as I grew up, I think that it was the Lord that led me into law because he was going to use it as a tool in my work with women and children. So it gave me, the kind of education I needed. I was also interested in family law, in the rights of women and children, things like that. And it's just like a tool. God says, do this, and I would use it to use you to help other people. Same way as I went into theology, to do my master's in theology, my PhD in theology. And somebody will say, what is a lawyer doing with theology? But then it made sense that I must see what my faith outworks itself in who I am and who I've become. Okay, so between law and theology and all the things that I've done in between, I think that God was calling me to be able to help women in a more constructive, holistic way than they would usually receive from, probably other institutions or people.
So you mentioned the fact that your educational foundations were all with the benefit of hindsight. Maybe a bit more the law with hindsight, but theology was more deliberate. I would say.
Yes, theology was more deliberate, but
But
law,
with the benefit of hindsight, you say, was preparing you for what you will do.
yes,
So you're doing law, you are at the Attorney General's department, and you have an interest in family law, and you tend to see yourself thinking more and more about women and children.
yes,
like
more
that.
and more about women. There was a time when, I wake up women, I sleep women, I drink women, until I had to even sort of talk to God about it. I said, no, you are my first love, not women. So put it in the right place, okay? Yes. So because I picked up very early that women go through peculiar kinds of suffering. And sometimes we normalize these kinds of things so much in our society that we think, oh, it's just part of life. When women go to school and they're doing well and they're being insulted because, hey, you're not supposed to be first. You're a woman. You are just a woman. All of those things I picked up very quickly. Why can, it seems the men can have their way, do what they want, but the women are restricted. This is a brilliant person. I talk about my mother, and I said she should not have ended in standard 7. She could have ruled this country. I'm telling you. Okay? But standard 7, why? She wanted to be a teacher. Parents say you can't. Who will marry you if you go to college? And things like that. So she truncates her education and put all of us together, very well educated children she has. We don't have her analysis. We don't have her kind of mind. And so I picked those things very early, that women go through things just because they are women. When pushed, then the abuse comes in. Okay? When people begin to abuse them because they think they have power and control over them, because they see them as vulnerable.
That's a very, very deep point that you make. Yeah. So what you're saying is that in the course of your work, you began to feel that there were peculiar needs that women had.
Yes, even in the course of growing up.
That socialization further entrenches.
Absolutely,
that society doesn't have a mechanism for responding to. Is it because we don't understand it enough?
Well, they're trying, society is trying to understand it and to respond. In many countries, even in Ghana, we have our institutions. Now we have DOFSU, we have social welfare, we have Commission on Human Rights, we have institutions. But you see, I think part of who I've become is to be able to straddle the institutions and come at it with what happened in the Garden of Eden. Okay? So this is where I put on my theological, my Christian pastor's hat and say, we are facing a problem that emanated from what happened between Adam and Eve and the disobedience, and how it upset the harmonious, beautiful oneness relationship of two people created in God's image, given the dominion over the earth, both of them. And now you see in a society where, women have to shout before they get rights to go to school, to have health facilities, to get into politics, to everything. It's like a struggle, as though we are not seen, we are not said, So I understand it from there, and then I come with it at the institutional response also. I come with it with the social response. I come with it to the mental health, the theological response. And so I think that's what makes me, let's say, distinguished or distinctive from.
Let me add distinguished. I think it's a very nice description. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's fine.
Angela, I think that what you describe gives me the clear impression that your whole life at various stages is being layered and continuously prepared for what you do. And the more you study different things, the more you do different things, the more they come together to reinforce what you believe God has called you to do.
Absolutely. It's like a beautiful network, a tapestry. Now that I'm 57, I can see how probably, for those of you who believe in God, I believe in God too. He was weaving it together. Yes, I absolutely agree with you. And on hindsight, yes.
Do you love what you do?
I do. I really do.
Is it rewarding?
Rewarding financially, no. Rewarding fulfillment, yes. I say financially because you can't work in this sector and try to make money out of it. You would have to use other skills, which I'm now trying to use now. with all the experience I have to help other institutions and so on and try to do. But in the sector in which I work, you must be a thief to make money. People give you their money to serve other people. Which part of it can you take? So I am very fulfilled when I see somebody come out like a butterfly out of the cocoon stage. They come so broken, so bruised. And then in the next 3, 4, 5 months, 1 year, 3 years down the line, they are a different person. It makes all the difference to me.
You talk almost like you are a minister, but you talk about your work almost like ministry. You see people and you say you see them come in a certain state.
Yes.
And then after the process, come out in a certain state. You even use the butterfly as an analogy.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there is a seamless blend between your work as a minister and then your work as a social advocate?
Well, yeah, I see it all as part of God's kingdom work and purposes. Salt of the earth, light of the world. I'm salt of the earth, not salt of the church. Okay? So I don't make a compartmentalization between what I do. Who I am as somebody who responds to somebody who is abused is the same person who is using that experience to let policymakers know that you need to change that law or improve that system so that we can get the cases through or so that we can get better response. It's the same person who would look at the mental health impact of what the person has suffered and say that we need to improve our psychiatric institutions or the social services that we provide. Okay, so I'm able to look at it from all those angles and make meaning out of it. Let me put it that way, and make meaning out of it.
Right. Still talking about meaning, let's drill down to the people that you work with and for. For somebody listening out there, okay, so here is Dr. Dwamena Aboagye, the CEO or the Executive Director of the Ark Foundation. We hear Ark Foundation every day, and we know that you are working with victims of domestic violence or people women who have been abused.
Yeah.
Give us context. What kinds of people do you work with? And when we say you've built for the past 23 years the only shelter available and functional in this country where such people are sent to, put it in a picture for us who do not understand it fully, or I'm speaking for my viewers and listeners to understand.
Okay.
Who do you deal with and what do you do?
So first of all, we deal with people who are abused within their domestic space. So for example, we have women who come to us because if they stay in their home another night, they may die. We have children who have been impregnated by their fathers in an incestuous act. Okay, girls. And then because they need to be withdrawn from the abusive situation, the police will bring them to us. We have house help, whom neighbors bring to us because they have been battered. Okay? I remember one case I saw, it was like, my goodness gracious. The 13-year-old's, her fingers, they had been put on a block and banguta.
Oh, how?
Yes, the big one that we used to, yes, with the commercial one.
Oh, no.
Her fingers were all broken, because she had done something that the mistress didn't like. Okay, broken. It was neighbors who brought her. When the lady went to the market, they picked her up straight at the Ark Foundation. You
mean after abusing her, she was sent to the market as well, with the broken fingers?
No, she had gone to the market and the neighbor sneaked in and brought the child.
Oh.
I've seen children with welts and bruises by their parents. Welts. There was one case, she was 3 years old and she had both, new wounds and old wounds on her back. And the police went in and arrested the father who had been doing this to her. And I get a call from the pastor saying, "Oh, Auntie Lawyer, please, can we talk about this and withdraw the case?" And I say, "Pastor, have we looked to the accountability issue of a father who can use the back of a brush, wooden brush, to do this to their child 3 years old. And who is saying it's because the child has been going around in the compound house getting people's food to eat.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around the level of violence you described.
Yes.
Are these extreme cases or they happen quite frequently? Why?
Because people feel it's normal. I have power and I can use it the way I want. Okay? There was a time when some of it are like Rambo kind of rescues. You know, a woman with 7 children, foreign woman brought in by a Ghanaian who had this concept that the colonial masters had oppressed us. So his way of revenge is to marry a white woman, bring her to this country, take her into the woods somewhere in the Kuyapim Hills, build a shack, had 7 children with this woman. He was not only abusing the woman, he was abusing all 7 children too, some sexually. When we got them from that place, the dress, they were wearing, I don't know whether to call it cotton or grey buffed or what, all of them. The state, their hair, you know, it's amazing. 1 woman, 7 children, all into her shelter. And we had to take care of them, work with the foreign ministry, work with the interior ministry, work with the GNCC, then Ghana National Commission on Children. The police did the rescue. I mean, sometimes when I describe the way this...
It's really Rambo style.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there are times when it's a striking force that has rescued and brought some of these people.
Let me ask you a question, Doc.
Yeah.
Are we wicked people? Are we wicked?
You know, we are nice people who think that certain things are okay, but they are not okay. There's a lot of hidden violence in our society, and most of it is in our homes. Unfortunately, yes, sometimes the neighborhoods, we know about the street crimes and so on, but the kind of violence that happens in our homes sometimes, I mean, you can't think about it. Look, we've had girls who have been brought to us. I remember one girl, her tummy, the lower part was distended because she had been given in marriage at age 13 to a man who was like 45. And this man would demand sex. And because she will resist it, he will aim his knee at her abdomen area. Little girl of 13 years, her abdomen area was like that. And if you look at the doctor's report, you will be shocked.
The question I'm asking is why? Why do we do that? You say because people feel they have power.
Yes.
What you describe seems to me like something that is occasioned by either
Not at all.
mental challenges.
Let me tell you that those who do these things, they won't do it outside. They won't do it in their workplaces. They won't do it in society. If there's a mental challenge, they will do it here, they will do it there, they will do it there, they will do it there.
Maybe it's compartmentalized.
It's not it's because the person feels that in this space, I have power, I have control, and I can exact it from you. And remember,
from your studies of scripture, from your studies of human behavior, from your what did you do your doctoral research in?
Women's mental health in the church.
Right. From all these studies, and I'll come to the impact on the victims, but from all these studies that you do, are you saying that just having power and feeling that you have control predisposes normal human beings to be that unkind
It's
to
not
another
predisposition. It's
Help
a
me to understand
learned behavior and a choice.
Learned behavior.
Yes,
and choice.
because they
That's what I wanted
realize.
to hear.
Yes, so
Learned
let me give you
behavior.
an example.
Learn from where?
Right, so I'm coming in from town and just getting down to my home. I see a young man standing with a young woman, and there's like an altercation, a quarrel. And I, of course, when I see some of these things, I will stop and say, "What's going on here?" So I asked the man, "What's going on here?" And the girl says, "Look, this boy was my boyfriend. And I went to church and I've become born again, and I know I can't continue the relationship with him. So I told him that, please, we can't continue to do the things we do." He started slapping me about. I mean, like, how? You can't leave me. So he had beaten her and I had come outside. That's when I found them. So when I confronted him, he said, "Oh, madam, but I don't know, we don't beat women." And I said, all the education that is wanted, he said it in P. Minim say ye mumma.
And you are saying that he has been socialized
Yes.
by who?
Sometimes it's from the parents. He's seen it as a cycle of in his home. He's seeing it on the media. He is hearing it, okay, in the neighborhood. It's normal. If a woman beats up a man, it's news. But if men are beating up women, especially their spouses and so on, it's normal. And this boy, and he was so genuinely, minim say a mama. And the woman who was begging for him that, oh, lawyer, leave and let it go, and things, was now angry. Minim say a mama. Yeah, that is the kind of thing. It comes from the perception that people have about women, their position in society, their status, and when it's in the home, that's how it comes out.
So when you say you provide a shelter, like you described this person, this woman, that the Rambo style rescue of a woman and 7 children.
And that's not
that's one out of, I know, hundreds that you deal with, but I want us to use one case to contextualize and imagine the situation. So you see very often it's done in an emergency way, quickly done, and they are moved to a location. So when you say you run a shelter, that means that they are taken to the shelter.
Yes.
And what, fed, clothed, cared for.
Everything you do for yourself in your own home and for your children.
Almost like
what happens.
Like a hotel.
Hotel put here. You may not have certain things exactly. Everything from the diapers to the chalewote to the salt that is the food to the hospital fees, antenatal care to soap to toiletries, everything you can think about. That must happen in the shelter because at the time the person is with you, you are the shepherd, they are the sheep. You take care of them, body, soul, and spirit. And remember, these are the kinds of cases that are not straight-jacketed. Number one, they are hydra-headed. The person comes in, they have been battered. Sometimes they come with wounds. It needs medical response. Sometimes, look, there was a woman who was brought to our shelter. For the first 2 weeks, she couldn't sleep. We needed the security officer to sit outside her door, opposite, watching her before she can close her eyes more.
Was she afraid her
yes,
abusers will come there?
Exactly. She was afraid because at the time she was rescued and she came to us, her husband had tried to strangle her to death.
But Angela, we know that the location is hidden. People don't know where it's
confidential.
So it's confidential. So she knows that, and she knows her husband cannot find her.
Yes.
But is it that it's so ingrained mentally that
it's here? It's so ingrained mentally.
I keep asking again why. Forgive me, I may be a bit
that's okay.
repetitive, but is it also the case, Angela, from even the examples you've given, that the people that commit the worst offenses are actually those who are supposed to protect and care for the victims? Is that correct?
Yes. It's their husbands most of the time, or people they have lived with.
Or parents.
Sometimes big brothers, sometimes uncles. I'm not saying all the time the males are the perpetrators. The few that we've seen, the men are the victims. It happens too. But the overwhelming majority.
About the house help, for instance, was not necessarily the male.
No.
Okay.
No. Overwhelming majority of perpetrators are male, unfortunately. I love my husband, my son, and so on. So I know many men don't do that. Okay. But overwhelming victims across the world, again, are females. In Ghana, count every 3 women who has been in an adult relationship before. One of them has been abused. It's that high.
Statistically?
Yes. Check it. 28% of women, yes, who are adults and have been in a relationship have suffered at least one incident of battering, physical battering. Yes, it's that high.
This is Springboard, your virtual university. Sorry if we have come on a bit stronger today than you often have been used to, but this is the essence of these 2 conversations we've been having in the past couple of weeks, opening up the flip side of our society. I mean, in our conversations about Ghana as a tourist destination, we talked about Ghana being a loving, peace-loving, kind, nice people. But in these conversations, we're also trying to find out the flip side of us as a people that is not too nice, but which we must talk about so that we learn from these mistakes and then also revamp, commit more to those who have laid their lives down on the line to make life better for those who are at the wrong end of the stick. And really, really, if not her, then who? If they did not provide that shelter for this house help who has been beaten with a stick and had all her fingers broken, where would she go? Or that woman with 7 children in a foreign land, where would she go? So Angela and her team at the Ark Foundation have provided a shelter, and like she indicated, their victims come into the place with nothing, often rescued in Rambo style, and so they have to provide everything to everything and care for them, body, soul, and spirit. When we come back, let's find out, are there success stories? There's a saying that this will end in tears. Are there some that end in joy, that after they were brought to the shelter, they came out with a better life, or maybe even families were reunited? Let's find out the bright side of this very difficult conversation. Call somebody as we talk about what we could be if we did things differently.
There once was a man who had it all. He had skill, he had charisma. He was loved by all, but above
some of that. Some of this, some of that. Give me some of that. Some of this, some of that. One, make you melt like the sun. Two, I can make it all about you. Three, you should make it all about me. Four, yeah, I think I like that more.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation over the past 45 years. We've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Apply now for a degree in environmental engineering, fashion design, landscape design, interior design, business administration, economics, law, nursing, civil engineering, architecture, computer science, IT, theology, PharmD, and many others at Central University, Ghana's leading private Christian university. Admissions are open for the 2021-2022 academic year. Degrees are available on our campuses at Mutual, Christ Temple Abosokai, and Kumasi. You can also enroll in our MBA with various specializations. Scholarships are available for needy but brilliant students. Call now on 0303 318 583 or 0302 396 189 and speak with an admissions counselor. You can also visit our website at central.edu.gh for more info. Central University, raising transformational leaders through faith, integrity, and excellence.
Welcome back to Springboard of Virtual University, to the engine room of a very tearful, emotional, but so inspiring edition as we explore the work of my big sister Angela Dwamena Aboagye and the Ark Foundation, giving hope to people who have been battered, bruised, and hurt by those that they loved and are supposed to be living with and who are supposed to be caring for them. This is brought to you by the Springboard Ratio Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse, Just Be the Enterprise Group, Enterprise Your Advantage, UMB Bank, celebrating 50 years in banking, and the Central University, Ghana's premier private Christian university, our media partners, the Multimedia Group, and the Graphic Business. Just note that this week, in the Graphic Business on page 18, you will get this full story from Angela, transcribed also on My Joy Online and then springboard.com.gh. If you are a studious note-taking person, Angela's lesson so far, first about the trigger points, growing up and knowing she'll be a lawyer by age 14, just like her dad, but finding out later that the law was only a tool God will use to pursue a purpose he had for her, and going on to study theology at both master's and PhD level. You lecture, don't you?
Yes, sometimes.
Do you still get time to lecture at Akropi Christola?
Yes.
Or the work is too much? So
I try.
in a
You
while.
know, it's like a block in a week.
Right.
It's not too much, so
Right.
I try.
So that's the trigger point. The number two is about those that she serves, her target, her clientele, if I may use that word. And she found out very early that she slept, ate, and drank women. So as a lawyer, she just was so passionate about women's issues and children's issues. And she was particularly touched by the fact that her mother, who wanted to be an educationist, was told she had to abandon her education at standard 7 middle school level because if she educated further, she wouldn't get a husband. Can you imagine? And she says women have peculiar areas of suffering that society does not fully seem to grasp. The third is about partnership. She says right from creation, God created men and women to partner together and work together. Anything other than that is an abuse of the divine order. The fourth is tapestry. She says her whole life is like God deliberately weaving different things together to accomplish a certain assignment. The fifth is about love. She says she loves what she does, even though there's no money in it, but she loves it because she feels she's called to do it. And she feels very fulfilled when people walk to her who originally were abused, but who are now much better off as a result of their interventions. And that is her reward and not financial reward. The sixth is what she calls what I would want to call the interwoven calling. She says she's the salt of the earth and the light of the world. So whether she's doing it at church or exploring the mental health angle or Rambo style rescuing abused victims, it is all part of one big divine assignment. The seventh lesson I get from you, Angela, is about the kind of people, the victims that you often deal with. You mentioned sometimes women who have to be evacuated immediately from where they are that very night at fast pace,
Yes.
or children impregnated by their own fathers, or house helps who have been brutalized, people who have been hurt by people in their immediate family, etc. The eighth is, in response to my question, why? Why? You see, violence seems to be normalized, and there's a lot of hidden violence in our society, mostly in homes.
Yeah.
And you see, violence is a learned behavior and a choice. People learn from their parents, their neighbors, their friends, and society as a whole.
That's right.
Including that young man who told you he didn't know that women should not be beaten.
Exactly.
I still can't wrap my mind around somebody who says, I'm beaten because I think it should be normal. And he was honest that he didn't know.
He didn't know.
So he thinks they must be beaten.
Yes.
God forgive him. The ninth is about shelter. You say, when we say you provide a shelter, it means that you literally receive people who are on the go with nothing in their hands. So you have to provide everything that they need. And care for them,
medical,
body, soul,
pastoral,
medical, pastoral, psychological.
Skills training, education, resettlement, all of that.
This is a global assignment too.
Yes.
And then the 10th one so far is that very often the perpetrators of this violence are the same people supposed to protect the victims.
That's
and
what makes it so harrowing.
That they trust.
Yes.
And you say 28%, almost 1 out of 3 of every woman in this country who has had any kind of relationship has suffered one form of abuse or another.
Yeah.
Use the word harrowing right now, which draws my attention to what my friend Seth Kwame Boateng said, as he described his various documentaries and their impact on he himself as he works on the project. And Seth said, crushed, when he did one of his documentaries about children who had been crushed by accident, road rage, he says he had to go through a lot of mental health challenges and required assistance from psychiatrists and psychologists. Do you get traumatized yourself working on these difficult assignments?
Yes, you can get traumatized. I believe that sometimes I do get traumatized, but the fact that I love doing what I do offsets it. Secondly, you can't do this work and not be trained. So even if you have the passion, you have to develop the skill of doing it. And part of it is to show you how to, we call it derolling, okay, where you can sort of separate yourself. It's a skill from this incident in such a way that you are empathetic enough to help. Derolling. It's like you are taking off that robe that makes you do what you do, so that you can rest, separate yourself from it. In a sense.
Because after I spoke to Seth, I was worried for a whole week. So I called.
It happens.
I called a clinical psychologist friend of mine to try and understand why somebody trying to help will himself or herself.
It's like vicarious trauma.
Become so traumatized.
Yes.
And she was explaining that in the professional setting, whenever you do data gathering, interviews, and go through any such situation, you need to debrief.
Yes.
So the debrief is what you call
derolling. That's
so
how we were
the debriefing and the derolling will bring you to the point where you can be empathetic and you say, and yet not so caught up, devolved enough to be able to be professional.
Exactly. And you have to practice it from time to time, including, the support system you have with the rest of your staff. So there's a lot of times when we do a lot of capacity building, checking in on each other. There's a clinical psychologist I work with who supervises our work. And, when I feel like today I'm not like my head flatter kind of, I just go talk to him and say, Charlie, I need you to talk to. And then we sit down and talk. So it's all part of the training and what we do. Some people call it self-care and so on. It's important. But there are times when the things get to you. Every case is unique.
Have you, but I know with all the derolling and everything, have you stood somewhere and cried before?
As for the tears. But you don't do it in front of a client. Otherwise, you can't work with
your client yet. You've gone to see somebody at the police station or somebody and you're like, oh, Radzi.
Oh, yes. I mean, sometimes even what will make you cry is seeing what the person has become after you've held the person.
Let's talk about that one. Success stories. Success stories.
So let me, I don't even know which one to talk about that very quickly.
But there are plenty.
This young girl was brought to, in fact, she found us because we went to do community education in a particular community. And then somebody pointed her out to us because her father had been sleeping with her for a period of time. So she was 12 when it started happening. When she got to it, she was almost 14. So she finds that we managed to report to the police. She comes into the shelter. Her father runs away. The only family she had left, because her mother had long left and everything, is a maternal grandfather who rejects her because it's like, how dare you go tell anybody that this is what your father has been doing to you? She comes to us. Look, if a pin drops, she will shake. If she hears a bang, she what we call hypervigilance, nightmares. There were times when she would literally see her father, it's like a literal thing. So all anxiety, depression, and because she had been rejected, she actually stayed with us 9 years, which is not what should be. We had to take her through all the processes, psychological care, pastoral care, all of that. And then she went to school, nobody to take care of her. So we had to find money. She finished, went into training college, passed out as a teacher. I mean, I'm a proud mother.
Wow.
The day when she came out, she was posted first salary. She brought it to me. She says, here. These things, it's not even the pain that makes you cry. It's when these things happen. And then later on, when she found somebody, her beloved, that they wanted to marry, guess who were the parents? Myself and my husband. My husband gave her away in church. I was the mother. I mean, I was everything.
Mother of the
2
bride.
days ago, I got a granddaughter, and her name is Angela.
God is there. There is a God.
Goodness, there is God. It's a beautiful thing. But you know what? I can tell you for a fact, even when she married, the night, the next morning, I was awake by dawn because I needed, was everything okay? Because I know what she's gone through.
So even though she's been through so much care, 9 years with you, she's returned to normal. The connection is so strong that even on her wedding night, you are praying that the trauma of her past experience will not resurface. When the Bible says that the king sat up all night and early in the morning went to call Daniel.
Thank you.
So do you
Thank you.
Text
Yes. So I said, how?
No.
She said, twice I got flashes. But look, she's married to a very caring. Oh, God has been my help.
Oh, look how
even world of her, And so she said we got through, and I mean, why wouldn't I be happy? Why wouldn't I continue to do this work, even though some people think I'm crazy for doing it? It's like,
but those are the same words that Abuna used last week. She says her friends said, let's give her something to support our crazy friend. Do people sometimes think you are crazy?
Oh yes, they think why? I get the what they call the coveted. In those days, there were only 3 prizes at the law school. When you were called a barrister, I got the prize for advocacy and legal ethics. And I remember our current president was in the crowd, and after he came to shake my hand and said, "Congratulations, this is the prize I've coveted in my life. You have to work with me in my chambers." Oh yes.
He wasn't president then.
And
those times, to work with Akufo-Addo was like, chambers was like the pride of every
you see
lawyer.
that, so, I mean, seriously, if I had wanted to go straight into, top, I could have.
Which prize was that?
It's called advocacy and legal ethics. In those days, there were only 3 prizes, and that's one of them. So I could have gone into top end, corporate, whatever. I believe I could have.
Let's talk about how you finance what you do. I mean,
Right.
because what you are describing, it requires heavy-duty resources.
It
for
does.
somebody staying with you for 9 years, and
Yes.
did you begin with support? I mean, how have you funded this over the years?
So when we started, first of all, I started in my home, okay?
You're joking.
So, yes.
Home as in Ufi and
My
Kasa.
nephew.
Oh, but that's very isn't that risky?
It was. But then, you know what happened? Let me just quickly tell you.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
When I started out with educating. I would be invited at the radio stations to come and talk about. It wasn't only me, some other young women lawyers who had come from Georgetown and were talking about issues around violence. And then you speak at a radio station, you come out, somebody has gotten off the trotro to tell you, this is what has happened to me. I do not know what to do. I mean, after being confronted with this, I said, hey, I can't just talk about this. I can't be just a talker. I have to do. I have to act. That is how I made up my mind that I must set up a complementary service, that when I advocate and I educate, I must expect that people would want a service. And at that time, there was no shelter in Ghana like that. Okay, so I set up the organization. The organization set up the shelter. Let me put it that way. And we started with nothing. So I started in my home. My boys' quarters was, one room was my office. The second room was a place that with 2 beds, bunk beds, that people. So the police would bring me women, the police would bring me children. And sometimes when there were too many, I would take the children to my children's room in the main house. So they started growing up with even abused children. And then when it was time for them to be retrieved by the police to be resettled and so on, it became problematic.
Your children will be protesting. They shouldn't go.
Because they are
They've
bonded.
formed relationships.
Yes.
Didn't your husband wake you up one dawn and say, Charlie,
Please, not only once. There are times when I say, hey, into the womb, basic. Hey.
And not only the sika, but also the
yes.
it's like,
it's like, hey, Angela, what doing here? But then it also pushed me to get a place.
But you know, I really, and I've told you 1,000 times, I really respect your husband.
Yeah.
And I
you
want to
must
use this show to say thank you to,
Oh,
to
yes.
him.
Kwame is a great guy.
Let's mention his full name and pause for 10 seconds.
Let me breathe.
Charlie.
Kwame Dwamena Aboagye, the love of my life.
Charlie, you know what? But seriously, all jokes aside.
Yes.
All jokes
He was
aside,
supportive. I don't know how
it
many
takes-
men will do this.
It takes a visionary, compassionate, empathetic person
Yes.
to allow his crazy wife, and I'm saying that with
Oh,
respect,
yes.
to bring victims of domestic violence
Yes.
into your boys' quarters.
Into my home.
But then to transition from the boys' quarters to the
Oh
children's
yes, to my
home,
children's home. Yes.
That one is
oh yeah,
another
yeah,
level.
yeah. Oh yeah. They became used to seeing police officers coming, bringing the children, going out. Yes, they did.
I mean, even now that you have a whole shelter that you do all the work you do, it's still a lot. But
It
to
is.
imagine what you had to do to get to this level, for me, it's very humbling. And Angela, let me do what I've probably done only once on this show. The listeners and viewers of Springboard are very kind people. And I think that Springboard has always supported the Ark Foundation because we believe in what you do. But today, I think that we want to take your vision and share it with our listeners and viewers. Hey, I've heard you speak. I've interviewed you on this show. We've been together on several, but never have I understood your story and your heart like today.
Okay.
And Comfort and I
Thank
are
God.
very thankful to God, and I think I speak for this nation to thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And to say that, Charlie, no, people like you, nations must build the shelter for you, not all
Amen.
Pesicano.
Amen.
Individuals, companies must call you and say, you know what, we didn't know there was this kind of thing being done in this country. We will build a fresh story building for Ark. Would you like a story
Wonderful.
building?
I want a story building because look, I'm looking at women who have mental health challenges, who are being abused, and who have nowhere to go.
So why not?
Yes.
Or being sorry in Casa Angela.
Oh, I want
Somebody
to do
should
that.
wake up and say,
an
Angela,
extension of this for that kind of.
a brand new facility, not
Yes.
even the old one
Oh,
being
yes.
expanded.
Oh, yes.
Brand new from
It's
land
one
to
of my
roof
dreams,
to
yes.
finishing.
Yes.
And just do it and say, this
Yeah.
is my donation
Yeah.
to the Ark
Yeah.
Foundation.
I even have a name for it, even though I don't have a cent for cement.
Please tell me the name.
Naomi House.
Why?
That's what I want to call it.
Why?
Remember Naomi and Ruth?
Yes.
Two women vulnerable, wandering between one country to the next with nothing, and how they supported each other until they got to a place where God lifted them.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
You're either a very good storyteller or a very great communicator or a very honest woman or all.
I'm not sure myself. I
But
mean, I'm just saying what's on my heart.
Let's do this. Friends, loved ones, Springboard family, let's do this. I mean, whoever you are, listening, watching as we do this, I genuinely believe that the Ark Foundation, I mean, how many awards have you gotten for your work?
Probably 25.
I mean, several this
Awards
is
with
incredible work
money.
for 23 years, celebrated on different platforms. So today it's not about an award. We've received the awards, but today let's empower the dream of a Naomi House.
Yeah.
If you are listening, you think for the kind of opportunity that Angela gives and the Ark Foundation, she says she built the organization and the organization built the shelter
Set up
and
the
all the
shelter.
interventions.
Yeah.
And they recently opened a transit
Transit.
place so they can
COVID-19
vet
transit,
they can
yeah.
vet people so that those who don't need shelter can be
Yeah.
held like
Yes.
so an emergency center kind of.
Yes, so we do have the crisis center,
Then we can move
and
you.
then there's a transit
But you know
shelter
what?
before the shelter.
Let's make the Naomi House dream a reality.
Thank you.
If somebody is listening from anywhere, these days I know that even with outside the country, they can still send mobile money.
Yes,
Give me slowly the number that they should send the money to.
right. So it's 024 37 7773. Are we okay?
0243.
243.
You like saying 0243, so say it that way.
Okay. 0243 77 7773.
So 5 sevens.
Yes, there are 5 sevens
All
in
right,
the
so
middle.
I have it now.
Right.
Plus 233.
Yes, plus 2.
If you're outside the country, but the number is 024 377 7773.
That's the number.
So 024, if you like it this other way, 0243 777773.
That's it.
I am sending you money right now.
My goodness.
And when I send the money, then I can see that it went and you know why I'm sending it? Apart from testing the number, I want to see the name that will come up. Don't tell me, let
Right.
me do it myself.
Okay.
*170# hash. And then let me see the name that comes up. Then it will confirm to me that it is the proper name. Okay. Send password. The Ark Foundation GH Delano Rex Alex.
That's right.
Okay.
So the Ark
Right.
Foundation.
The Ark Foundation GH Delano Rex Alex.
Yes.
If I show it to you, you see that amount. So. No, but you know, it's not a lot, but beyond what Springboard does, Comfort and I will commit ourselves. Are there people who give you money every month?
Yes, we have about 30 people who regularly give us
Pay.
between 50 CDs to 200, a few stretch to about 500. About 30
Just
people.
30? You should
Yes,
get
about
about
30.
1,000.
We want about 1,000 people
Okay,
because
so
it's the regularity that matters.
Please, if you are the kind of person who listens to Springboard and you are the kind of person who's aspirational, you want to do big things for your life, and you also want to help the vulnerable and help those who, you can go to the shelters and work, but you can enable the shelter to happen. Please, just send the money to 0243 777773. The only proof that it is the correct number is that you will see the Ark Foundation GH Delano Rex Alex. And who is Delano Rex Alex?
Our finance and admin coordinator.
Okay, so the way the number is set up, it's an MTN
Yes.
number. The way it is set up, you will see the foundation's name,
Yes.
and then you see the GH, and then you see the finance. If you don't see that, please don't send the money. No, Sakaba, no clue. Please, let us hear the ping, 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 ping. Let Angela call me tomorrow morning and say, Charlie, yesterday the limit was reached. So
You know,
people
we
have
had
to
to.
donate the next day. Let's make it happen.
We pray
it doesn't
it
have to be.
happens.
It doesn't have to be an emergency. This
Yeah.
is something that is an enduring, ongoing thing. If somebody wanted to be a monthly donor, what number should they call?
Same number.
So this is like a hotline.
Yes, it's a hotline. It's a hotline for reporting abuse. It's our Momo line, and you can make your inquiries on it because you can call and say you want to be a member of the Foundation of Givers.
So
And
that's
we
a
will
name.
register you
Foundation of Givers.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what we call.
Great.
We call them.
Great. So I officially induct myself as number 30. Let's give serial numbers.
Okay.
The first 30. Let's create a roll
All
call
right.
and give serial numbers. This is my new idea.
Great.
So the first 30, let's give them number 1.
Number
FOG,
30.
Foundation of Givers, FOG.
1.
FG1, FG2.
Yes.
So make me number 31. Comfort and I,
Very
number
well.
31. Every
We
month.
will.
So won't you mean can I do
Oh.
30 yet? Send me text.
We
and
will
say,
send you
Adewada.
text.
Sorry. But I really genuinely think, and I'm very, very, very serious that it's a beautiful thing that all over the world can be celebrated. And I worked for several years with World Vision on their projects that involve children being supported across the world. And so I memorized the foundational quotation of the founder of World Vision, Bob Pierce.
Right.
And anytime I'm in a moment like this, I remember those words. He says, let my heart be broken with the things that break the heart of God. And as I listen to you talk, I feel that that's the space in which you are.
Yeah.
Because your greatest joy is not even about personal reward, but
Not
about
that I don't like who,
Yeah, I
but
know,
yeah, you know.
but it's about seeing the
Yes.
things that you do work.
Yes.
And it's
I
very
see.
humbling and beautiful.
It is humbling to me too. It is humbling to me.
Please, let's do this once again. The Ark Foundation GH Delano. Let me mention the full Delano Rex Alex. That is the name you will see. If you don't see that name, please don't send money. And we love the one-time donors, but we even love Much more. Those who will say, I don't even need anything. Just put my name on your list, and I will send you 200 CDs a month, 500 CDs a month, 100 CDs a month, and that will be beautiful. Let's make this. Let Angela never ever have to pray about money to run the foundation. Never.
Amen to
and
that.
let that house be
Amen
built
to
by
that.
somebody listening who says, I really genuinely believe in this effort. And the number again, 0243 777773. Let us shame her with our donations.
Amen to
Let's
that.
shame her in the foundation. And I want to thank your staff too who work with you so
They are
hard on
amazing
this, because
people.
it means that they get calls at midnight and so on.
Oh, we do the hotline. You can wake up at any time.
And then
There's a
that-
call.
and you have to
need
spring into
work.
action.
Yes, you have to.
That means you probably need vehicles too.
Oh, what is it that we don't need?
Because it's the university, a virtual university. Let me give you the points that I've picked from our conversation. The first is about the trigger point, and then the fact that you learned law but found out that it was just for the work, and also went on to do a PhD in theology. The second is about the people you serve, and you say it's women and children because you believe that your mother was denied education, and she's probably the most brilliant of all her 8 children.
Yes.
More brilliant than all her 8
Oh,
children.
yes, together.
But was denied the chance to further her education. You say women have peculiar areas of abuse. The third is about a partnership between men and women right from creation.
Yes.
The fourth is about the tapestry of your life woven by God into a unique assignment.
That's right.
The fifth is about love. You say you love what you do,
I do.
even though it doesn't reward financially as much as it should. But going forward, I pray that it does.
Amen.
And then you also talk about the fact that you feel very fulfilled when you see the results.
Yes.
The sixth is about an interwoven calling that manifests itself in various ways. Sometimes it's in church, sometimes it's in working with the mental health, sometimes with DOFSU, sometimes it's with education institutions or rescuing people, but it's all the same assignment.
Oh.
The seventh is about the people that you serve, and you describe various categories of abuse, and that's quite traumatic. The eighth is about the fact that we have seemingly normalized violence in our society, and it's a learned behavior and a choice that people make. They don't inherit it. It's not a natural thing. They learn it
They
by
learn
observation and
They
socialization.
pick it up and then they choose to do it.
Yeah. The ninth is, which means that you can also choose not to do it. And
Oh,
I-
yes.
that was
Absolutely,
very
yes.
important to add.
Violence is a choice.
Yes. The ninth is about the shelter, what you do. And you say you care for body, soul, and spirit, and to all the needs of the people. The 10th is that the people who offend are very often the same people supposed to care for the victims. So you say 28% of all women who have been in any kind of relationship have been abused one way or another.
Yes.
The 11th is about trauma. You say the work can get traumatic,
Yes.
but your professional training helps you to de-roll and be empathetic, but at the same time, distant enough to help without being overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I love that description. The 12th is that beautiful success story that you told. You told 2 out of many. One male, one female, very gender balanced. in the first one, the person you told about was the female who got married, who lived her dream as a teacher. And the second is about the one who, the brother was the hero because
the
he
hero,
ran to
yes,
tell.
he was
and
the
then
one
she
who
went on
thankfully,
to
yes.
go to medical school and live out her dream. Those 2 very beautiful stories, and I feel very inspired. The 13th is the fact that at the beginning of all this, you had the opportunity to go on to become the lawyer that you probably would have loved to become, with all the perks that come with it. And you got the prize for advocacy and legal ethics. And His Excellency, then a senior legal practitioner, invited you to work in his firm.
Yes.
And you ended up doing the crazy thing that you did. The 14th is about funding and support, and you tell the story about starting from your own boys' quarters,
Yes.
hosting victims there and using half for an office,
Yes.
and then taking the overflow into your children's bedroom.
Yes.
Policemen coming in and out with children,
Yes.
with victims of abuse.
Yes.
Shall I still haven't recovered?
Yes.
But the last one is my special one. The foundation of givers. You say there are a number of people who have committed to giving you support every month. I want that number to grow from 30 to 1,000.
Amen.
I want to be able to come on this show and say, by the grace of God, thanks friends, thanks Springboard viewers, we've reached 820. We need 180 more to reach 1,000. Then the next day I come and say, we are done. Now let's push on to 2,000. Why not?
Why not?
The Naomi building project.
Yes,
It shall come
Naomi
to
House.
pass. What will be your closing thoughts, Angela?
Well, my closing thoughts are that I believe people should follow their dream and don't think immediately about the rewards. God has a reward. You know, they come in several different kinds. But if you really believe that you have an assignment, a purpose, and a calling, even if you don't understand all of it at once, pursue it. See where it will take you, because you are not here for yourself. You're here because you mean a lot to God and to the other people He's going to connect you with.
And let your heart be broken
Yes.
with the things that break
the heart of God. Yes.
And He will weave your life like a tapestry.
That's
Tell you what, I know you've written a number of publications, but you must write a book about this Ark Foundation story. In the way
Somebody
you've told
said
it
it yesterday.
I think you must write, your academic publications are nice, but I think you must write a human interest story with the Ark Foundation story.
Right.
Find a very funky name for it and write a story that people will read and
We will try and
think
do that.
I think you owe it to Ghana, just like we owe it to you to support you financially.
Thank you.
owe it to us to tell the story in writing.
By 2 or 3 witnesses, a thing is established.
Amen.
So I think we will pursue that.
Deal. When you see that book,
And I know you
know
will
where
help
it
me.
began. Oh, consider it done. So just before we sign off, the number again to send or the number to call when you want to report on domestic violence, the hotline for the Ark Foundation, the number to call to be a Foundation of Givers member, and the number to Momo Direct without talking. You can WhatsApp that you want to be a foundation of, to the same number. Just send WhatsApp that you want to be one of the foundation givers and tell us your pledge. But the most important thing, even if you will not sign up to monthly contribution, today, dear, send us money. +233. That's the if you're outside Ghana. But the number 024 377 7773. The number is on your screen. The slide is on your screen. It will remain there till you give. And give and give and give and share with your friends and loved ones. Take a screenshot and send the same number. And the assurance that it's gone to the right place is that when you send the money, you will see the recipient is the Ark Foundation GH Delano Rex Alex. If you don't see that, please don't send money. So till we come away again next week, this has been a very inspiring engagement with Dr. Angela Dwamena Aboagye, and by extension, the Ark Foundation. So on behalf of Team Springboard, led by Comfort, and the entire team of partners, the multimedia group, and the graphic business providing media support, and our sponsors, MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, and the Central University. My name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.